This is something everyone knows about. Everyone in the manosphere, at least, knows about this. This is kind of common knowledge in the manosphere, but I'm surprised at how many normies, blue pill normies, just people, regular people walking around in the world, people I work with, people I just associate with, don't know about this. It's surprising to me because it's been here forever. I mean, even without the word hypergamy, it's been so noticeable that women choose certain males and discard everybody else, most males. It's just so obvious and prevalent. I don't know how everyone doesn't know this at this point in the game. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go over some numbers. Just read. This can't be said enough. I thought hypergamy was so common that it's like, okay, it's dead. It's a dead subject, but it's not. It's no one. Not enough people know about this. Not enough normies. I don't know how to get them to know about this. Just I guess eventually over time, people will understand this. But let's just redo some cover some stuff. Let's just do some basics. What is hypergamy? Hypergamy is women trading up, pretty much. It's women who will only settle for people equal to them on the socioeconomic ladder or in looks, just their value, or people who are better than them. Guys who are equal to them or better than them. Women will not marry down. They may date down for like 2 weeks, just to have beta orders, just to have someone kiss up to them, get them things. But they don't give a shit about those guys. They care about guys who are better than them. Women are truly submissive. As much as society wants to tote this whole new women empowerment, women are like guys now. Women are submissive. They're naturally submissive. They rather have a guy be dominant and they rather have a guy be above them in value. They just rather have that. For a guy, it doesn't matter. Guys could care less. What the fuck we're screwing. Guys don't care who we're marrying. We may care who we're marrying, but we don't care who we're with. We don't care. We don't care who we're dating. Why are women hypergamous? Because they give birth. Women give birth. Because they give birth, all of them are viable. They're all usable to reproduce. Males, it's not the case. Males are disposable. Nature has not been kind to males. Males, you really don't need all of them. You don't even need most of them, probably. You just need the best ones to reproduce. Because they don't get pregnant, because they just give sperm to the female, they're not out of commission for a year like females are. They can constantly move and keep reproducing with more females. They don't need to be hypergamous. Nature didn't design them to be hypergamous. They don't care. Women, because they get pregnant and are out of commission for a year, they need to select the best mate they can possibly. It's ingrained in them. It's just ingrained. If a girl is telling you, no, I care about regular guys, she's lying. And you know this because when good-looking guys or like successful guys come around, or like a guy with star power comes, who he has some star power, people in general will gravitate to him, but girls will swoon. They'll just swarm him. They really care about the high-value guy. Now, what makes women select men? I have some stuff here. I was looking up. Women pursuing short-term mating compared to long-term mating. Yeah, this is how complicated and complex women choose their mates. It's so complex compared to males. For example, increase the importance they place on a man's physical attractiveness, sex appeal, muscularity, and extravagant and immediate resource displays. Women pursuing long-term mating, in contrast, place greater importance on resource acquisition potential, such as has a promising career and has good financial prospects. And it goes even deeper into that, because girls want everything now. They don't just they want everything. Ideally, however, a woman would want all positive mate characteristics thus far identified in the scientific literature, and perhaps even more. We propose that women should value at least 4 clusters of characteristics in long-term mate. 1, good genes indicators, which is like everything. 2, good resource acquisition indicators, so they get money. They have to get resources because women are put out of commission when they're pregnant. Good parenting indicators and good partner indicators. They want that covers everything. It's so general, those 4 things, that they cover so much stuff. Women really want everything. That's how hypergamy. And I think now I don't have any. I was trying to find more data of like how as if women got more hypergamous over the years. I think they got more hypergamous, aside from just social media and being able to select a buffet of men. I think women have gotten even more hypergamous. Oh, this is interesting. I found more women have contributed to the gene pool than men. Yeah, Stone King's team gathered together the genomes of 623 men from 51 populations around the world. They then compared the genetic diversity of the male Y chromosomes with the diversity of the men's mitochondrial DNA. They found that genetic differences between human populations were almost always larger for the Y chromosome than for mitochondrial DNA. The only exception was East Asia. Using computer models, I don't know what this means, but just hold on. Using computer models, the researchers showed that the differences in genetic diversity arose if more women than men were breeding throughout human history. According to their simulation, an ancestral population of 60 women and 30 men were breeding in Africa before humans left the continent. So even back in the day, the numbers fell to around 25 women and 15 men breeding at the time of the first migration of Homo sapiens. Around 70,000 years ago, the whole population would have been larger, but the extras were not contributing to the gene pool. As modern humans moved into Europe more than 45,000 years ago, the number of mothers may have outnumbered fathers, blah, blah, blah. So 100 to 30, according to Stone King, his study appears in the journal. So yeah, so even back in the day, even way back in time, in the beginning, guys' assholes were twice the size of females' assholes, getting shafted by nature. Even since the beginning, that guys have been getting shafted since the beginning, which you kind of know. Like after I found this, I was like, it's so obvious. Why didn't I even realize that? That it's always been like this. I mean, granted, I think it was better back then. At least 1 out of 2 guys were getting laid. Now it's like 1 out of 10. Who knows what it is now? But at least guys were getting laid back then, 1 out of 2. That is how that even in the beginning they were hypergamous. That was an interesting find. Then I went to online dating because this is the easiest way to find out how hypergamous women are. Oh, and that source was the Guardian for that. And the other pictures sources were SagePub. I forgot to mention that. So how are likes distributed with online dating? The source is from medium.com, the data science section. This is a graph. This is a graph of it. I think many people have seen this. In reality, the bottom 80% of men are fighting over the bottom 22% of women, and the top 78% of women are fighting over the top 20% of men, which is insane. I mean, imagine being the top 20% of men. Imagine being those guys, some alpha guy who's like extremely good looking, rich, famous. That, like, if you had to give difficulty levels for like who gets which difficulty level, the hardest difficulty is probably an ugly woman. That's probably the bottom 10% of women, probably the hardest difficulty. The next hardest difficulty is like 80% of men. That's the next hardest difficulty. It's like 80% of men. Easy mode is like being a woman, being 90% of women, or like 80% of women. That's easy mode. And then being super easy mode, I think, is the top alpha male. I think that is super easy mode. You can just sit there and like just have girls gravitate towards you. I don't even know what you need to do. That life would be incredible. The area in the pink represents the situation. So this shows you the area in the pink compared to the blue. I'll just read it. The area in blue represents the situations where women are more likely to like the men. The area in the pink represents situations where men are more likely to like the women. The curve doesn't go down linearly, but instead drops quickly after the top 20% of men. Comparing to the blue area and the pink area, we can see that the random female-male Tinder interaction. The male is likely to like the female 6.2 times more often than the female likes the male. And I could tell you from experience, because I've been online dating for 2 years. 2 years, every day. It's just something I do. I need to have sex. I have to at least try to have sex. It won't ever go away in me. It won't ever go away. So even though I don't have much success, but I could tell you from sending out thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of likes that you get nothing. You get almost nothing back. It's so hard. It takes so much work as a regular guy to get laid. Unless you trick them and say that you'll marry them or take care of them or something, or like a real relationship. Besides, unless you trick them, it's so hard to be honest and get laid as a regular guy. And likes don't mean anything, by the way. Likes mean nothing. Likes almost mean nothing. Like if I had to do my own graph of percentages of like likes turning into banging, it would go from likes to messaging, which is like 1 out of 10 likes turn to messaging, and then like 1 out of 5 messages or 1 out of 10 messages get to dating, and then like 1 out of 2 dating gets to banging. It's even harder than they say. It's even harder than the graph says. I found this other thing. The Gini, this is more into that graph. The Gini coefficient for the Tinder economy based on like percentages was calculated to be 0.58. This means that the Tinder economy has more inequality than 95.1% of all the world's national economies. In addition, it was determined that a man of average attractiveness would be liked by approximately 0.87%. 1 out of 115 women will like a regular guy. I could tell you that's true. 1 out of 115 women will like back a regular guy. That is how unequal and how hard it is for a regular guy, most guys, to get girls online because you're competing with alphas. You're competing with some genetic freak who's like a model, and he's intelligent and he has a great job. It's just someone who you're never gonna have a chance to compete against unless you get there yourself. You have to get there yourself by bettering yourself in every single aspect and angle of life. And then you can go nuts and bang everyone you want. Then I looked up divorce. Women initiate divorce 70% of the time. 70% of divorces are women. That statistic enough. That statistic is enough for me to show how women are always looking for the next best thing. Just ingrained. You can't hate them for it and like take it out on them. It's nature that did it. Nature ingrained into them the need to always look for a better mate for kids. Even if they've already had a kid, it's still in their DNA. They're just always going to look for a better mate, a better guy. They're always going to do that. It's just how it is. I looked at this source from Washington Post and Psychology Today, and the reasons that they said it was controlling husbands. That's why they said they left, which doesn't make any sense to me. And I've heard women tell me this. It doesn't make any sense. A lot of shit I hear from people, it makes no sense. Controlling husband. You didn't know that he was controlling before when you were dating him? I know on the first date. I know someone I know someone in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I know you. That's it. I know if you're controlling. I know your psyche. I know everything about you in 5 minutes. I don't need to marry you to know you. I don't know how they didn't know that they were controlling before that. I think it's just bullshit. And then I'm going into the educated. So I was looking up how if a woman being educated, because more women are being educated now than ever, and more women than men are being educated, how the evidence for that, if they look for males that are educated or not educated. Women who are educated will not marry a man less educated than her unless he has value in other areas. Yeah, and when I look this up, every article that you see is like, women are doomed to marry someone who's not as educated as them. It's like about how it puts the plight on women. It puts the distress on women. Oh, these poor women. They can't even marry a golden god. Wow, these poor women. Oh no, we have to save them. Society's always trying to save women. Meanwhile, you have all these fucking guys who are just quitting school and killing themselves. Suicide rate's 4 times higher in males. You just have males like offing themselves and quitting life. No one gives a shit. But it's just about how to save women. That was every article. It's like, what the does anyone care? Does anyone see what's wrong with this? The source is the Daily Beast. The current college class breakdown of women to men is 57 to 43, which means that there will be about 1/3 more women than men with college degrees when graduation arrives. Yeah, and they even themselves, when you look up the info for this, when you see the comments by women and the articles on the articles, they talk about it's like how it's so hard to find a man who's educated. They don't even consider dating down. They don't even consider it. It doesn't even filter into the head that like maybe I'm being a douche. Maybe I should get off my high horse and just date down. It's not even considered because it's just in their DNA, and it's not their fault. It's just in their DNA to go for someone better. Then I have a video. This Dr. Dr. Godsod, that's how you say his name. He talks about his theory. I'll show you that video.
So when you have a couple that gets married very young, they are judging one another based on their mate value at 18 or 19, right? So Tony is the high school quarterback, and so he's the hot guy, and I'm the cheerleader. And then later, he stagnates. He doesn't go on with his career, whereas I go on and become a physician, the cheerleader. So at 29, there is now a huge inequity between our two mating values on the mating market, right? So when we were both 19, the fact that we had roughly the same mating value made us a very attractive, stable couple.
But Tony turned out to be a fucking loser.
Exactly.
He's a lame duck.
Exactly. And so I have a theory that, and I'd like to at some point test it. Maybe some graduate student will write to me saying, I'll work with this on you, Dr. Saad. I have a theory whereby I think that in many cases where people end up divorcing when they married young, it's precisely because that which started as equitable mating values at time t0 turned out to have huge divergence in our trajectory on the mating market. And that puts a huge strain on the marriage, especially when the wife's status is going up. The best way to ensure that the marriage ends is for the status of the woman to keep going up and that of the man to either stagnate or go down. That's going to be doomed.
I think he's exactly on the money there. I think I hope he does that test. I hope someone does that test because I want to see the results of that. Then I looked at some other stuff, like if women are having more sex than men. I think more women are having. I couldn't find that. I think more women are having sex than men in general. I think a select few men are having tons of sex, and then every woman is having sex, a little bit of sex. This source, I just looked up STDs. The only way evidence I can get is like who has STDs. Source is cdc.gov/STD stats. Females have a 3 times higher rate of chlamydia than males. Okay, they have three times higher rate for chlamydia. Source ncbi/nlm.nih is fucking .gov. Females had a higher prevalence of herpes simplex virus 2 and STIs in general. Yeah, herpes simplex. If anyone doesn't know, because I'm always worried about getting this. Herpes simplex virus 2 is herpes on your genitals. Number 1, everyone has one. It's herpes on your cold sore. It's herpes on your lip. Everyone has that. It's so easy to spread herpes, even sipping on someone else's cup, a drink. I had herpes simplex virus 1 as I was a kid, and I thought it was just a cold sore. People just told me it's herpes simplex virus. But everyone gets that just from drinking stuff, which is worse because it's so noticeable. But since everyone has it, no one cares. And anyway, just to let you guys know, herpes simplex virus 2 can be transmitted. You can get number 2 from 1 if a girl is giving you head or whatever, and then you can actually get herpes. That's why I don't even I say no. I don't even like blowjobs anyway, but I'm like, no, don't even. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't care about it. I don't need herpes on my dick. Source. So having this was the only stat I could find for women having sex more. Source is iol.co.za. According to a dating site for having an affair, women have 4 sexual partners and men only have 3. 50 to 56% of men have sexual urges several times a day. I think it's way higher than that. I think it's like 99.9 repeating percent. While only 37% of females feel the same way, and I think that's even lower than that. Well, maybe not. I think women have sexual urges, but they don't want any guys. They just want like one guy in the whole building. So I think they do have sexual urges, but it's not. You don't see it because they're just hiding it. But I still think men desire. Nature has given men such a crazy desire to have sex. Nature has purposely, I think, given men that insane desire for sex, psychotic desire for sex, because nature wants men to compete against other men to better themselves. I think the whole point, because competing makes you better. It makes you improve on whatever you're competing in. And if you're competing to get girls, and because girls want everything, you're competing to get everything. You need everything as a male, so you're competing for everything. And because you can't get rid of that sexual desire, it's innate, it's just in you, and you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. You're always going to be trying to better yourself. You're just always going to be bettering yourself. which I kind of like that I'm always bettering myself. It's kind of a curse. I said this in another video. It's a curse and a blessing. It's like having a monkey on your shoulder, a monkey on your back. It doesn't go away. Maybe if I could meditate and transcend to some higher dimension with meditation, I could enter full monk mode and transcend that, but I don't know. I think that I think I have to get older. I think I got to get older and lose my testosterone and stuff to really be to really transcend, to get rid of that. But yeah, so that's my that's what I found.